What is an extra rule your family added to a popular board or card game? My father-in-law keeps note of who has wronged him with a series of annotations beside the score when we play cards. I see he plays Total War. Warhammer I, plot twist. It is not to get revenge in game, it is to give him the longest list at the annual Festivus airing of the grievances. Got any fives? Go just made the fucking list. My mom makes extensive notes on her clue scorecard, such as Bob was in study and saw a card from Jane. She always loses. In Scrabble, the person who can make the longest word goes first. Highest points breaks a tie. This makes the game more fun by ensuring there are lots of places to play your letters. That's the best rule here too. You just started playing Corporal and that's how you decide who starts, and it makes so much sense to use it for Scrabble too. I thought this was a legit rule. Lol, my family does this too. That's an amazing rule. Also, it would be ideal if they started the word slightly to the left, so ensure a more balanced board. In Monopoly, we have a rule that my sister can't be the banker, otherwise it is like watching Ocean's 11. My sister growing up seemed to win every time she was banker. We had one of the electronic banks die Monopoly too, so it was easier to cheat. She can't shake the name Crooked Banker for any game we play, including games that have no bank aspect to them. If a roll in Parcheesi is suspect, it's because she's the crooked banker. I don't even think she's ever cheated on purpose, it's just really fun to make fun of her. My uncle told me stories about how whenever he played Monopoly at a friend's house, he would always bring a few $500 bills from his own set and use them. Hubby is not allowed to even sit near the banker, and no one stores any money anywhere near him. If he suggests we play, we score the area for hidden money before he sits down. I really like running Monopoly with 2 20s instead of the default 6. Makes it a lot more chaotic. Ooh, this is a great idea. I've got to imagine that it would shake up the meta of Monopoly. Like the orange and red spaces would no longer be the best sets of properties to buy. Oh my god, that's such a good idea. Literally anything goes in Monopoly. Whatever business deals you make in Monopoly are valid, e.g., paying some insurance each round so that if you land on their rent properties you are immune. When I was a kid, the small group of friends I had all played crazy days-long games of Monopoly through summer and especially winter breaks. As far as anything goes, we took it even away from the game. Shit like, sell me St. Charles Place for $2,500, and you don't have to ever pay for landing on it. And also, I'll wash the dishes and take out the trash for you tonight. Or, give me immunity on your yellow Monopoly, and I won't attack your army with any land units in our next StarCraft game. Buildings only, or even, we each have 2 railroads. Let's form a cartel. Give me your 2. And we'll split all rail income 50-50. To keep me honest, I'll give you control of my purple Monopoly. You'll hold those deeds, but I still get 100 of the profits. If I ever don't share the rail profits, you keep the purples. If you ever don't give me the purple profits, I keep your 2 rails. This bargaining extended to times we were totally away from the game too. Shit like, oh, there's only 1 piece of bagel left. Hey, I'll give you $500 of Monopoly cash for it. We had a game spiral so deeply into cross-player alliances and deals that every move took about 5 minutes to work out who owed what to whom, and half the time it all cancelled out. We had 7-year-olds writing 4-party contracts across multiple amortization periods. We opted to skip that rule moving forward. We would do deals where if you traded properties me to help me complete a set, you were immune for the first number of times you landed on them. The insurance idea is fantastic though. One time I sold Park Place for $5 actual dollars. My grandmother was deaf mute, so when we played Uno, instead of saying Uno we knocked on the table quickly twice. When my mother-in-law was suffering from dementia, we would play Uno with her and just let her play any card she wanted to play. She was at a point where she couldn't follow the rules of the game, but she did understand that she should put down a card when it was her turn. So we just let her play whatever she wanted. It introduced a fun chaotic element to the game, and she got to enjoy participating and spending time with us. There is a game called Twos, which is basically Uno with a regular deck of playing cards that we would play before we ever had an actual Uno deck, and our rule in that has always been to knock on the table when you have one card left. Frank Underwood vibes. Taboo. You can play 3-player Cutthroat Taboo. The rules don't really change, but the scoring does. There's a ref watching for taboo words. Guesser can't see the card, talker can see the card. The guesser and talker will get 1 point each for each successful guessed word. Taboo words are scored 1 point to the ref. At the end of the round, roles rotate like normal clockwise. After everyone has 2 turns talking, rotate the other way counterclockwise. This lets everyone get a turn guessing and talking with each person. I prefer this way because you don't get stuck on a winning or losing team. Everyone plays with everyone. And there's never a 4th person out. That's a good one. Don't know if I'll bring taboo back into the household though. Me and the wife got into one of our biggest fights over taboo. It was back when we were dating, and we don't remember what really caused it. We just know it was taboo and have agreed we will never play it again. Late to the party here, but in Monopoly we allow the utilities to collect 5 of any player-to-player transaction over $200. It helps keep the utilities relevant and desirable. You've got me thinking, but shouldn't utilities scale with the number of properties owned? Or maybe per building built? Seriously, those utilities in all those buildings has got to start adding up. That's very interesting. I have often noticed the utilities feeling like a drag, so this could be fun. In Clue, once the killer has been discovered and it's one of the pieces in play, the game becomes a chase. The remaining player turns or rolls to get out of the mansion through the doors in the hall. The killer tries to catch the remaining pieces and kill them. Secret passages only work if you roll even numbers in that room. The killer rolls twice per turn and cannot use secret passages. Edit. The killer wasn't one of the played pieces. Then the game is over. They couldn't defend themselves and surrendered after being discovered. The killer kills other players by landing on the same space as them between rooms, or by rolling a higher number than them in the same room. If there are 2 players in a room with the killer must announce who they were going after. After one attack, killer's turn is over. Players must escape by leaving the hall through the doors. Killers will through my leaving the law. The user very entering the hall is one move. Leaving the hall is another. You should try to have at least one more move upon entering the hall to get out safely. If rolling a 3 would get you into the hall, a 4 would get you out. If no players make it out alive, the killer wins, stacks the bodies in the cellar, locks it, and pretends that none of this has ever happened. Extra fun. At the start of the game, before dealing to players, place an evidence card face down in each room. When you enter the room, you can look at the card and place it back face down. You are sleuthing. After all, if all players have seen the card, you may turn it face up. Edit. It was the stranger in the thread with the silver. Thank you. You would love the game Betrayal at House on the Hill. We had a variation on Risk where everyone write down their moves and attacks, and all the moves and attacks were carried out simultaneously. First, the troops were relocated, only able to move one country. Then attacks rolled once again. You could only attack a neighboring country, and if you won, you could occupy it, but you could not keep pressing the attack until the next turn. If 2 or more countries were attacking each other, they all rolled the max number of dice. Ties were then re-rolled. Edit. Apparently we copied a game called Diplomacy without knowing. I will check it out. Thanks for the comments who brought this to my attention. Risk 2 did it. It was decent fun. Then I learned of Axis and Allies, Spent a lot of time in that instead. That game is called Diplomacy, and it is amazing. This mechanic is a core part of the Game of Thrones board game. Your moves are placed onto the board face down. You have tokens representing different options and are all revealed after everyone has placed. That honestly sounds great. I will talk to my siblings and we might try it out today. In every coop game, pandemic, castle panic, whatever, there is usually someone who tries to tell everyone what to do. I can accidentally be this person. So, I implemented the right-hand man rule. If the person whose turn it is wants advice, if they can only get it from the person on their right, nobody else can say anything. Thing way more enjoyable. I like when cooperative games suggest to play with a closed hand or restrict what you can say to limit quarterbacking. Spirit Island is my favorite as quarterbacking is too hard to do as each player has a wildly different gameplay style. I need to include this in my playstuff. I tend to accidentally be the dominant player telling others what to do. Hanabi is a nice co-op game that helps solve the quarterbacking issue. The gimmick is that everyone has a hand of cards, but you hold them backwards, so you can't see your own cards, but you can see everyone else's. You have to spend collectively owned resources in order to communicate this information to others and allow them to make decisions about the cards they own but cannot see. Rule for my kids with all board games: winner cleans up, loser or lowest score picks next game. Tantrums rage quitting gets you banned from the next game session altogether. Username checks out. I have some nieces and nephews this needs to be enacted with. This would have been nice growing up. My little brother was such a sore loser that my mom would cheat to make sure he won, but he was an insufferable winner. My mom feels bad she did that to me, but I always went along with it because it was better than him losing. Don't know if this counts as popular, but Waddington's Go, a game of traveling around the world. Rule in the actual game was you had to roll exact to get into a place, but it ended up with too many dice rolls doing absolutely nothing. One player ended up just stuck in one place for literally half an hour, before then getting somewhere else and then being stuck for another half an hour. They did virtually nothing all game. Really, that rule means the game should be called Waddington's Stop. To combat this, we came up with a house rule that you have a 3 strikes and in. If you fail to get the right number 3 times, you automatically get to your destination, to stop the game being dull. We haven't actually tried this yet because since playing it when at the end of the game we came up with the rule, we've had a pandemic that has prevented me from going back to visit my parents who have the game. One rule used for many board games: if someone takes too long with his or move, anyone can fetch the 3-min hourglass from the shelf and set it on the table. Once the time runs out, the move is over regardless of. Another rule for Scrabble: any word is valid if you can find it in any book in our library within 3 minutes. I hope you have some Lewis Carroll in your library and a maverick who takes advantage of it. Finding it within a book is pretty ruthless. I prefer phones on table. No cheating, and define the word if you want to use it. Trouble is a fun little game. Unfortunately, with the wife and son, we only have 3 players. With the Four players makes it even more fun, so we have a 4th player we call Bob. Bob gets the last turn in the cycle. Someone rolls for Bob, and then the 3 of us agree on what Bob's best move is. It is especially fun when you have to agree that Bob's best move is to take out one of your own pieces. Edit. Thanks for all the upvotes and awards and stuff, but I wanted to sort of comment on the meta of what I see in my responses. The first comment I had that really took off and got a huge number of upvotes was 7 years ago, and it broke the 3,000 upvote mark. That felt like a huge thing. This comment isn't the first to surpass it, but the scale really reflects the growth of Reddit as a community far more than it does any insightfulness on my part. You go Reddit. Secondly, I am amused by how many people learned to play Cards Against Humanity from a friend, complete with a totally approved alternate rule, but have not actually read the rules. That's okay, neither have I. I'm curious. Does Bob ever win? I also have a Bob. He joins us sometimes for group games. He is a ghost when playing games like Cards Against Humanity or What Do You Meme. Sometimes having another person contribute a card is fun. Our Bob just plays whatever card is at the top of the deck. Last time we played What Do You Meme, Bob won. Fucking Bob. The mugging rule in Monopoly. If I land on a space that you are currently occupying, I can choose to mug you. We take turns rolling the dice. If I roll higher, I steal $100. If you roll higher, I go to jail. Edit. Yes, it can help in endgame. Also, I feel like a lot of you are overestimating how often you land on another player's piece, and even then you still have to roll lower. It is almost as if this game is not very realistic. My family added fighting to Monopoly as well, but we used pieces from Risk. You could spend your money to build an army and defend your property, or even unowned properties if you couldn't afford it and wanted to buy it later. It added an element of balancing territory size with having an army big enough to defend it. Edit. I didn't realize there were versions of this in existence or similar games, so I'll have to check those out. I played this when I was a kid, so it has been many years, but several people asked about our rules, so I'll try to remember what I can. Each turn, you roll one die and get that many armies, which was considered recruitment. You can then buy additional armies for $50 each, I believe. And we had a limit on how many you could buy per turn. A 5, I think. Every time you passed go, you got 5 armies. I know we increased the money you earned here as well because there was more to buy and you ran out of cash too quickly with the normal amount. Your army traveled with your piece. You could leave armies on a property you landed on. You could also forfeit moving your piece to shift armies to an adjacent property if it was unoccupied. If you landed on an occupied property, you could attack it. You could also forfeit moving to have a sitting army attack an adjacent property. Battle went by Risk rules. If attacking a property with the intent of taking it from another player by force, the defending property got a bonus based on the initial value of the property, which I think equaled the number of digits in the price. You get additional bonuses for houses and hotels built. We eventually added bonuses for each player based on the token they chose to play, but the only one I remember was the battleship got a 1 on all attack rolls. I think the Tophet got extra money each turn. We had other perks you could earn for getting railroads and utilities, but the only one I remember was something about being allowed to travel between railroads you owned. Rules changed a lot as we played until it was almost like Calvin Ball. It was less about creating a current game and more about creating something absurd to see if it worked. It was more fun with several people because alliances would eventually form and you'd have much bigger battles. Then, we discovered Axis allies and played that a lot more. In Trivial Pursuit we have a rule: if the player being asked doesn't know the answer, they can ask the room. The room doesn't actually answer, but they say whether they know the answer or not. If nobody knows the answer, it is considered an invalid question, and another card gets drawn instead. If someone in the room does know, but the player being asked doesn't, then it is just a plain old pass. My dad knows a lot of stuff. But someone in this player a lot of view pay I mean, a lot. When he was a kid, he read the Encyclopedia Britannica for fun. Basically, the rule was born from, if even Dad doesn't know the answer, then nobody does, and it is a terrible question. I like this rule. My family has done similar before with other trivia games, but on an irregular basis. I might propose this become a thing at the next board game night. This would have been a good rule the one time I played Trivial Pursuit and my girlfriend and I used an old copy my parents had. The question was something like which country drinks the most beer per person. My girlfriend first guessed Germany, which was wrong only because the answer was West Germany. So basically he knew the answers to all the questions, or would get to draw a new one. Must be fun to play PE. This would be a great rule for countries outside America, who often get stuck with questions like, who was the 15th president? Or baseball questions. And of course none of us fucking know. Older editions as well. In the game of life, we would put the white car on top of the middle building of the 3 white buildings together. The first person who got there got to take the white car, and it was worth $1 million at the end of the game. It's been so long since I've played the game of life. Wouldn't the person who got the white card just pretty much win every time? At the end of Scrabble, you make up a story with all the words on the board. We never looked at the tiles for scores. We just played to get the best words on the board. Whoa, that sounds lovely actually. Good to spark creativity as well. We did something similar with Cards Against Humanity. Pick up a card, start the story, go around the table. Got some really weird stories. Nukes in Risk. If you roll 3 sixes when attacking, you defeat every army on the territory you're attacking into. If you roll 3 ones, you nuke yourself and lose every army in the territory you were attacking from. My mates and I play Risk all the time. Might introduce this rule to them. Risk 2210 AD has nukes and you can go to the moon. It is only 5 rounds max as well, and then the game ends no matter what. Gives a long game a fair time limit. 5 turns is more than enough to wipe out some opponents, makes you play very aggressively. We play Nuclear Risk too. In our version, a country can be nuked by playing the risk card for that country. That is the entire turn. No moves. No collecting another risk card. All life in that country is forever wiped out for that country, and can never be entered again. All surrounding countries' armies are cut in half. As anyone knows, risk cards are a huge deal in winning Risk. Giving one up and not getting one on your turn is huge. It has only been done in our games when someone has no real chance to win and they just want to be a dick, or negotiate a threaten someone to not attack them, or if they own somewhere like North America and nuke Greenland so that they have one fewer border. Back in the 70s, my brothers used to have marathon Risk playing nights. Their added rule was that each player got to dump the board one time to restart the game. After everyone dumped the board once, they played out the game and had a winner for the night. Edit. I have 6 brothers.
Like and subscribe for more Reddit content. Watch the next video at the top of your screen.